Welcome back to Outdoors with Larry Ray on ESPN 790 AM, brought to you proudly by the Tennessee Wildlife and Resources Agency.
Hey, good Saturday morning. Welcome back to Outdoors with Larry Ray. We celebrate Thanksgiving holidays with this radio show this morning as we roll into our 21st year on the air. Shelby McCall pushing all the buttons back from Tijuana where her mama, Kim. Is that your mama's Kim? Amy, that's close. It's the same letters. Amy, where Mama Amy undergo successful surgery. Okay, let's
close
move,
enough
move on. Okay, yeah. Okay, let's get on to this next guest because he and I go back a long way. We shared some bologna sandwiches together and a lot of laughs and a lot of interesting times over the years. Of course, he is part of the UT family out at Ames Plantation near Grand Junction, and that's Dr. Allan Houston, UT Director of Forestry and Wildlife Ecology, and at Ames. And I never know how to introduce Allan, but he is a man of storytellers, and when I was the editor of the Mid-South Hunting and Fishing magazine, I was able to utilize some of those talents with stories that still people talk about today and ask me, how did you ever get that in there? I said, well, it's because Allan Houston can write like that. He can also talk like that. And so good morning, Allan.
Good morning, Larry.
I wanted a story. I asked Allan, I said, Thanksgiving weekend, I want a story. And he said, let me think a minute. It took him about 10 seconds, and he came up with one called Spick and Span. And I said, okay, let's hear it. So if you want a story, you're going to get it this morning on Outdoors with Larry. Tell it, Allan.
All righty. Well, Larry, we have had some good times. And, you know, when you think about Thanksgiving or any time like this, you think about family. And so when you asked me to give this little talk, I thought to myself, you know, immediately it jumped to mind, Spick and Span. You go back with me, at least, as a mountain boy. Go back nearly 60 years now. It was a different time. And so I was raised country, and fishing and hunting was a big deal, and raised around fisher people and hunters and that sort of thing. And so even as a young boy, I had a gun of my own. And I remember on this particular Thanksgiving,
yes,
we had gone to my mom's dad, my grandfather's house in Glenville, North Carolina, which is near Cashers, and some of your listeners may know about that.
Oh, yes. That's a very big area that we all know about. Yes. Okay. Go ahead.
It was different back then. It was sure enough country. And my grandfather had a farm, raised cattle and cabbage, etc. And the house is set right at the base of a mountain called Tater Top.
Tater Top.
And
okay.
Tater Top. Grandpa said it wasn't any count, except you could grow a few taters up on top. And
okay.
So my uncle had two beagles named Spick and Span, and they were locally kind of famous. And they knew me, and anytime they were hunting with anybody else, all I had to do was just cross the track. And once he helped cut my track, they come to me. And so I knew how to do that. Nobody liked me very well. And on this particular day, it was right before Thanksgiving.
All right.
Mom and Dad would let me hunt by myself, but not with anybody else. They said 2 knotheads was too much of a knothead. And
okay.
So I was with Spick and Span up on Tater Top, and they were, it was snowing, just beginning, I can remember, and cold as blazes. Skies were just as gray as slate. I can remember all this very well. And the rabbits were working. I was kicking them up. They would run them by me. I might miss. My dogs would stop and look at each other and say, all right, boss, let's do it again. They'd run them by me. And it was one of those special days when just me, the dogs, the snow. I knew where I was the whole time. I wasn't going to get lost. I was about 11 or 12. And I killed several. I don't remember how many. But then the evening began to draw down, and, you know, Spick and Span looked at me. I looked at them. Well, it was time for them to go home, and off they went, and I came back to Grandpa's house. I cleaned up my rabbits, and I handed it to the women. They bragged on me, and the men did too. And that was about the end of the story, sort of, except the next morning.
Okay.
Yeah, we had Mama had a bunch of sisters and brothers, and I had cousins just about behind every leaf. And we had a big, long farm table.
Yeah.
And I can remember sitting there, all 12 years old of me, just keeping my place there amongst all the adults. my grandfather came in, and he was carrying the turkey. And then here comes right behind Grandma with piled up, just golden fried, those rabbits. Ooh. And my eyes got big. I still remember it, the sensation of, my God, those are my rabbits. And the thing I remember out of all this, or maybe one of the things I remember best, is a little boy.
Yes. When
those rabbits were set down, and my grandfather had hands big enough that just like shaking hands with a catcher's mitt.
Yeah.
And I can still see around the corner. I can still see my grandfather's enormous big old hands dolloping out the mashed potatoes and gravy, and then laying a rabbit's leg right beside it, and it being passed down to me. Yeah. Now I'm sure I got some potatoes and turkey later.
But you had your rabbit.
I can still remember getting my rabbit, and everybody else sort of had a piece, and just right there alongside the turkey and my grandfather's big old hands. And, for a 12-year-old boy, that's quite a Thanksgiving.
That's quite a Thanksgiving. And I know there's probably a story, but how dogs got to be named Spick and Spam. There's always a second part to any story Allan tells that there's something to go along with that. But that's something that a 12-year-old can remember, because you're actually producing part of that meal. And did he ever tell anybody? Did he say this was killed by my grandson, or did he just pass them out?
Oh, everybody knew, but see, everybody had a place to play in it. The men knowing well where I was and how well I could be trusted, et cetera, to go and being kind of a part of that fraternity.
Yeah.
The women, because they fried that up and bragged on it.
Yes.
And then my grandfather, who served it out.
Yeah.
And then spick and span. And it just so happens that I took my grandson out, and here just the other day, and he and I sat together, and we shot a deer. We had to track it, and as we were tracking it, I thought that little boy running back and forth looking for that blood, and I thought, well, my God, you're spick and span again.
There you go.
And Buck,
great story.
Buck, I know you Thanksgivings with your boys, duck hunting, every year. And I know Ron has spent Thanksgiving most of the time at the Egg Bowl. I know that, but there are times when you were growing up in the Delta of California, Ron, you told me that there have been times that you fished out there when you were a kid.
Absolutely.
Before you went in the service and before you played the saxophone at the University of Memphis.
Wait a minute. You guys are telling all the secrets now.
No, Thanksgiving was a day like Allan's talking about.
Yeah, absolutely.
Of experiences. And Gene, I know that you've had some Thanksgivings in the woods.
Oh, yeah.
Hiking, things along that line.
Well, Daddy hunted rabbits a lot.
Well, rabbits.
Yeah.
And that's what he's talking about right here, And I hear these great stories, and I worked every Thanksgiving at the Commercial Appeal. The paper went out no matter what.
Right.
And you got to pick what holidays you want off. Thanksgiving, Christmas Eve, and I would always pick to work Christmas Day because I wanted to be off Christmas Eve. I always wanted to be off New Year's Eve. Not New Year's Day, because all the other guys wanted to be off New Year's Eve because I wasn't partying and things along that line. But I can remember some of those times.
Yeah, my uncle had 3 dogs. One named Barky because he barked a lot. One named Meanie because he was mean. And the other was named Liberace.
Liberace?
Yeah, he's a pianist.
Oh,
yeah. Know who he is.
We know who he is. But, Allan, thank you, man. We wish you a happy Thanksgiving. And we got to stay in touch and do a doe hunt together. And I know that these are busy times. Tell Rick we hope the surgery, he gets over it and everything else at Ames Plantation. I'm sure there's a lot of events going on out there in December that'll take all your time and things like that. But appreciate you, brother. Okay?
You betcha. And at least one last time, or maybe one more time, Spick and Span had their day in the sun.
Spick and Span had their day in the sun. Thank you, Allan Houston.
I think, All righty. Bye-bye.
Bye. We all need our day in the sun.
I'm going to head out because.
Yes. You better get over there, Buck.
Well, I need to go to Struck Court.
Yes, you better get going.
Yep.
Buck Gardner, thank you.
Thank you, Buck.
Thank
Always
you, Buck,
good seeing you.
here.
Always good seeing you, my
right.
friend.
Okay, can we take a break right now? Let's take a break. We'll be right back because I help walk out with the champs over here. We'll be right back on Outdoors with Larry Ray.